A man sentenced to more than a century in prison for a deadly crash. That sentence sparked outrage across the country, and he may now receive a reduced sentence. A judge will now consider reducing the 110-year sentence for the truck driver who caused a fiery fatal crash. It killed 4 people. His initial sentence resulted in an online petition. It's garnered more than 4 million signatures, dozens of supporters gathering outside the Denver courthouse during today's hearing. And NewsNation's Felicia Bolton is here with the very latest on this case. Felicia.
Nicole, there's a lot of outcry over this. We've seen it from celebrities and now even his supporters outside of that courthouse, as you mentioned. But this is just the beginning in the effort to legally change that truck driver's fate. The request to reduce the sentencing came from prosecutors in the case, not just the defense. And not everyone is happy about it.
Supporters of Roger Aguilera Modernos gathered outside this courtroom today as the judge considers a request from prosecutors to reduce the 110-year sentence for the truck driver. Now celebrities and even one of his jurors are coming to his aid. Nearly 5 million people signed an online petition asking the Colorado governor to grant clemency to Aguilera Modernos after he was convicted for his role in this April 2019 crash that left 4 people dead on a Colorado interstate.
I just would like something more fair for him and for the victims too. I know it's hard for the 2 parts.
Less years than 110. I'm a truck driver too, and anything can happen in the world.
Jurors found Aguilera Modernos guilty on 27 counts after crashing his big rig into stalled traffic on I-70. He says his brakes failed during the horrible accident. Despite that, Colorado law required a mandatory 110-year minimum sentence in the case. But for some people, they believe he deserves to pay the full extent for his actions.
The big thing that currently nobody is addressing, although it was addressed largely before the trial started, and it was kind of the focus of every news report before the trial started, was he didn't take the runaway truck grant. That is what a runaway truck grant is designed for. It is designed to save lives.
The district attorney says this was more than an accident. It was reckless, negligent, and the driver failed to take some obvious steps like using a truck safety off-ramp. But she did recognize 110 years is extremely harsh under the circumstances.
Given the conduct and in consultation with the victims and survivors, we will likely be recommending a sentence of between 20 to 30 years.
And the judge says this resentencing is unprecedented and could impact Aguilera Modernos' right to an appeal if it is granted. Both sides will appear before the judge again in mid-January to determine the next steps. Victims will also be able to participate in that hearing to voice their thoughts on the sentencing. A lot of the victims' families are already speaking out about it. We showed that one woman who's very upset about the possibility of him getting lesser time in jail for this.
All right, Felicia, we will see what happens. Thank you for that. All right, well, Ian Farrell is a law professor with the University of Denver, so he joins us now. Professor Farrell, thank you so much for being with us.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Okay, so this is happening in your state, and if sentencing guidelines are what caused this more than 100-year sentence, explain how it is now being revisited.
Sure. So the first thing that we have to understand is how this 110-year sentence came about in the first place. And it's not because of any one crime. So, for example, the vehicular homicide charges carry a sentence of between 2 and 6 years. The longer sentence comes about for a number of reasons. Firstly, because he was convicted of 27 different offenses, and those offenses were what the state law refers to as crimes of violence, because people were killed. And as a result of that, that increases the minimum sentence for each individual offense. So vehicular homicide moves from 2 to 6 years to 4 to 12 years. But more importantly, it also means that all of the sentences that are imposed are served consecutively rather than concurrently. And so what happens is when you, of course, when you add up all of those smaller terms, it adds up to 110 years in prison. So that's how we got the 110 years. At the original sentencing, the judge had no choice but to impose at least 110 years. But there is a provision in Colorado law that says that when a violent offender is sent to the Department of Corrections, the Department of Corrections has to file a report involving an evaluation and diagnosis of the violent offender. And once that is done, the trial court judge can modify the sentence to what the trial court judge thinks is appropriate if there are unusual and extenuating circumstances.
All right, so Professor, explain, what does violent offender mean? Because I hear that, I think somebody that directly, assaulted somebody versus this was kind of a chain reaction type of thing. So how is that defined?
Right, so under Colorado law, a violent offence is defined, among other things, there's a lot of different parts to the definition, but among other things, it includes any offence which results in either death or serious bodily injury. So it doesn't have to do with, for instance, whether you intended to hurt somebody or not. It's about the result.
Okay, so definitely we need to pay attention to the definitions here. Okay, you talked about consecutive versus concurrent. Obviously, a big difference there if this sentence is reduced. Realistically, how much of a potential change are we talking about?
Well, the district attorney is asking for or recommending about 20 to 30 years. And that seems to me to be well, firstly, in terms of my own personal view, I think that is still on the more severe side. But I think that is a realistic possibility with regard to imposing Colorado law, because if this defendant was only convicted of the 4 counts of vehicular homicide for the 4 victims and consecutive sentencing applied, then the range available to the judge would have been between 18 and 48 years. Okay. And so that I think probably influenced the district attorney's recommendation of 20 to 30 years.
And Professor, I don't want to forget about the victims here. I do not want to forget about the victims' families. We heard from the wife of a man who was killed. What type of message would this send if if his sentence is reduced? Will other convicted criminals potentially want their sentences revisited if this one is?
I think that any convicted criminal will prefer a shorter sentence to a longer sentence, but this is certainly not an opening of the floodgates kind of situation. The law itself for the reconsideration of sentencing uses the terminology of extreme, unusual, extenuating circumstances. And so it is only in a situation where the trial court judge, who was present during the trial when all of the evidence was presented, it's only if that person believes that there are extending circumstances that a reduction would be possible. And in terms of the message being sent, a sentence of 20 to 30 years is still an extremely long sentence for a person who did not intend to kill anyone and did not intend to hurt anyone and was not charged with intending either death or any injury at all.
All right. Extreme, unusual, and extenuating. Professor Ian Farrell, thank you so much. We do appreciate your time tonight.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thanks for watching. Click the red subscribe button below so you can get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.